Hi there, and welcome back to History of Fleetwood Mac. I'm Anita. Today we're going to continue Volume 16, Episode 4 of my Fleetwood Mac and Stevie Nicks scrapbooks, and we're continuing along with Trouble in Shangri-La. And this one I've noticed some pages that we're going to get into in the next few episodes that were kind of stuck behind other stuff. So some of this is kind of going back and forth, but it all pans out in the end, right? But this was kind of towards the end of Stevie's tour, I think, for Trouble in Shangri-La. This was one of the benefit shows, American Heart Institute benefit shows that she had. And this was the September of 2000. So I think that this was behind, but it mentions Trouble in Shangri-La coming out soon. So I think this one was a little bit behind in the scrapbook stuff. But it was a nice article out of the Arizona Republic. So, of course, it was very fond of Stevie and what she does for Arizona and the AHI in general. But yeah, so it showed her, some pictures and an interview with her. And then there's a little side clip of people who are going to be showing up or also in concert soon. Sheryl Crow is going to be at the AHI. Then on the back here, again, I think this is another one. This was the Wells Fargo benefit, and Saturday, September 23rd. Maybe that is the same one. I should have checked that out. I think it is, actually. Anyway, this is another Bob Massey, M-A-S-S-E, print that he had done. I never actually got this in a poster. I've only ever had this in the handbill size. But this was the nice artwork and invite for the AHI, American Heart Institute show, Stevie Nicks and Friends. Yeah, Saturday, September 23rd, America West Arena, Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah, this one was December 6th. So I do have that backwards, I'm sorry. But these are still more. These were, there were some flowers and stuff that were given out at some of the shows, and these were little things wrapped around the stems and stuff like that, just to show, kind of like a little souvenir thing for your attendance there. Then this really pretty picture of Stevie. This was Stevie and a friend of mine who I put the tape over. She comes into the picture much later in my stories. And I haven't talked to her in years. And just out of courtesy, I didn't want to show her in the pictures. I probably won't be showing any of her in the pictures. I'll just be talking about her. But this was a really nice picture. And that was taken at a much later, I think actually the next to the last, if not the last, heart benefit show, American Heart Benefit Institution, whatever she had done. But yeah, real pretty picture of Stevie. And then another one. This one is the one that I told you I was with December 6th, another show. And I think that this one, yeah, the rest of this article goes with this here. Then this little side note is just Paradise Valley resident Stevie Nicks came home to a fairly big house at America West Arena on Thursday night. The concert billed as a benefit for Arizona Heart Institute drew close to 9,000 fans to see the shawled singer and her friends Boz Scaggs, Don Henley, and Mick Fleetwood. It goes on to talk a little bit more about it. Then, I think I put them away, but I was showing you guys some photos that had come out of something, and it kind of should have gone, I think it might have been this page. It doesn't matter. I'm showing them again. These were pictures, like I told you about some of the other ones that had come out of the magazine, the Details magazine, I want to say. And I had some, and they were cropped, kind of like these are. And eventually I got full size. These ones in particular, I never got full size of. But they're still really great shots of Stevie. I like this one. I like this one and this one. I like this one the best, I think. Then these were like the other one I showed out of the magazine, because that background on the boa, I think I did show this one. Next, we have Stevie at the Blockbuster Awards, I want to say. I think it was pretty sure her and Chris Isaak were there as well. I think it was one of these shows that was live on Fox or something like that. I remember her doing, now I can't remember the song, but she had done one live and it was new off the album, and we just couldn't believe it was just such a cool song live. But it took me some getting used to. Fall from Grace. It took some getting used to because there's just a certain tempo to it that I didn't really pick up on TV. And it took until I had it in my hands and listening to it, on stereo, loud in speakers, or then in headphones to just kind of get the momentum of it. But when I first heard it on television, it just kind of didn't go together. So I've seen it since, and it's great. But just initially, when it first came out, it was kind of an odd song. This is a great little cartoon rendition of Stevie. Mac Daddy, is Stevie Nicks getting jiggy with it? Is this in the early 2000s? The Witchy Woman is recording her new album, Trouble in Shangri-La, with Dallas Austin, the Wonder Kid producer behind R&B players TLC, Michael Jackson, Boyz II Men, and Monica, and others. Stevie was in Hawaii listening to the TLC record and went, wow, whoever did Unpretty should produce my stuff. He had to have some Fleetwood Mac influence in him somewhere, says Austin, who aims to free the gypsy's inner homegirl. The thing about her music is she always did have a core R&B feel going on. Even the older Fleetwood Mac stuff like Dreams and Rhiannon had more of a groove to it than what was happening at the time. The 27-year-old studio whiz adds that the album, which may include some early tracks Sheryl Crow produced before he signed on, won't send old school fans running for their Rumors vinyl. We're keeping her dreamy mystique. We've got candles, dragons, Buddhas, and a huge photo of Jimi Hendrix in the studio. Now, to my knowledge, there was a lot of stuff that was supposedly done with Dallas that did not make it onto the album. There was some more kind of R&B group stuff, and there was further conversation that Stevie would do a more R&B in full album. I'll listen to anything she makes, but I'm just not so sure how keen I'd be on that. Now, if she did some deep blues, some more Etta James, and throwback torch songs like that, I would buy 1,000 copies. But a whole R&B thing, I like an R&B feel to her music, but I don't like an R&B overall sound, like everything. So I just don't think it matches Stevie. But that's just me. This was another cool thing that was in an auction. Stevie's goddess gown. This was by Christie's auction house. This sequin two-piece costume was worn by Nicks during a performance of Rhiannon in the 70s. The hit song is about a mythological Welsh goddess. I don't recognize that from the 70s. Maybe one of you eagle-eyed fans can steer me otherwise, but it definitely looks like something hers. And Christie's is pretty on it about having the right stuff, but I just don't really, I don't know about that one. So funny, she's chewing a little piece of gum. You can see her. The other side is a little, this is a promo photo that came like out of a press kit. And this is a cool little article. I'm not even sure where I found this, but this was about Night of 1,000 Stevies, which had taken place for 2001 in New York, as many of you know. I've never been to one. I think it would be a lot of fun to go to, but there's such a small venue and so many people are there. It just, I don't know how much you could get accomplished. Like, could you see everything? Because it's just so busy all the time. But it would be a lot of fun to go to. And this one was the Gold Dust Women and Men honoring Stevie. This was another great piece of artwork, even though Sheryl Crow did this, or no, Sarah McLachlan, I think, for Stevie. My friend who makes stickers, I have mentioned before, had made this for me. I believe that's who made that. And then a really cool little Japanese piece, just, advertising the album coming out. Again, we're kind of back to the Heart Institute stuff. This was a flyer that came out of one of the benefits, and this was the 2001 September 23rd. So that's one I'd spoken of earlier. And this was a magazine. So this was the cover page. A nice little piece of article of Stevie from Rolling Stone. Stevie singing in Atlantic City, October 25th, or sometime around there, obviously in 2001. Another little great cartoon rendition of Stevie. And this one, again, is talking about her work since Street Angel. Obviously, it wasn't a very good record, Stevie says. I went into rehab right before that came out. I didn't feel good, and if you don't feel good, it's really hard to make good music. So this was really promoting and her being, her better self, she felt, to promote Trouble in Shangri-La. But I just love this little rendition here. So continuing on with this article, this was the remaining piece, which had no picture, but it continues to talk about Stevie, special thanks to Stevie, and, in conversation with Stevie, it's still about what the heart benefit does and how they help people out. This piece of promoting the album was out of a magazine called Revolver, which was kind of more like a hard rock magazine that came out in the early 90s. So it was really cool that she was featured at all in there, that they reviewed the album. And then somebody gave me this photo. It's not the clearest picture, but this is Stevie performing at the Jingle Ball, which I believe was in San Diego or down south somewhere, Southern California. But that was in 2001. And then carrying on, this is the last page here. This was a really interesting, it was really cool because she had these press photos like you saw, and you had the regular one that just had Stevie Nicks at the bottom. But then you had some that had the little S at the bottom, which was really cool. And I like that one being different. Again, another sticker by Jasmine Leslie, kind of like the other one I had shown a minute ago. Like this one here. And then this little piece is with an article that I have not put together with a page because I didn't really have much other stuff to put with it, but it was kind of wide. So I had it and another press photo. So there might be one more page with the next video if I finish it, because I'd really like to show the article that went with this photo. And then this was out of, I think, like People magazine or something like that. People are one of those. Nice picture of her and Tom. But what was really cool is this was kind of a standard picture, and we had seen some pieces of this floating about. And then I just happened to be on eBay one day, as one does, and I had seen this picture out of a Japanese magazine, and I had never seen it. And it goes with, the session, obviously, but I had not seen this exact piece. And it was just one page, with the article, of which I cannot read. I know I can decipher it, but and then this really lovely photo of Stevie, which I have not seen in like US magazines. So I thought that was a really cool find to have. Just kind of stands out. Again, going with this one here. So that is it for this episode. I still have a little bit more Trouble in Shangri-La to go. And then I have some stuff coming up for the holidays, which is just a few days away. I just cannot believe it. I'm representing in my Grinch jammies for now. And I will get stuff too. So continue coming back to see me. Thank you so much. And everybody have a great night. Bye.